Ain't nothing. What's the word, man?
What's up, family?
All is well. All is well. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thank you for joining me this evening. Tonight,
Absolutely.
actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where are you on the east, on the west coast?
Indiana, Midwest.
Got you. Got you.
How's everything going today?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Hope you don't mind, man. I'm just popping the cork on swine. You know what I
Do,
mean?
do your thing. We're going to let a few more people log on before we jump into everything.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Okay.
Lord Tariq, what's good, brother? We got some people coming in here. My man Rome, what's good, bro? You know what I'm saying? The great Lord Tariq is on here. Yes, sir.
Peace, Lord Tariq.
You know what I mean? Yeah, let them come in and, you know what I
Peace,
mean?
GQ.
Yes,
Mom
yes,
and
yes.
Dad.
I see you, GQ. What's good, boy? You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight, man.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Just gotta get myself, with two young ones in the crib, man, and they sleep. You know, this is what we do to wind down, you dig?
No doubt.
Word up, word up.
What's up, Shady Beats, all the way from the UK?
Yeah, Shady Beats, what's happening? What's happening?
DITC forever. L
Salute,
Eagle.
salute, DI. Yes, sir, yes, sir. You know what I mean? What we doing tonight? Yeah, we just gonna have some conversation, man. We're gonna have some conversation.
We're
You
going
know
to
what
get
I mean?
into
Me
a
and my
little
man
history.
Sin-seer. Yes, sir.
And then bring it all the way up to speed because you've got a lot of accomplishments that should be acknowledged.
Appreciate that, brother. Definitely appreciate that.
For sure.
Good gettings. What's up, boy?
All right, let's jump into it. This is Quarantine Sessions, episode 19. I am with no other than Tracey Lee. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Nah, thank you for having me, Sin-seer. Really appreciate it, bro.
What were you working on and what were you doing when you told you had to quarantine and everything was going to be on lockdown?
Oh man. What was I doing? I mean, just regular rigmarole, man. You know, I got a 3 and a 5 year old, so we're taking them to school and all that, and I do contracts for the government. You know what I'm saying? As a 9 to 5, and then I got my own, private thing going on with regards to the practice itself. You know what I mean? I do, I'm an entertainment attorney, and I'm sure we'll get into that. So and it'll come up later, but I'm working on a new project as well, you know what I'm saying, with my brother Ojiz. So, have my irons in the fire on a couple of things, you dig?
How has the coronavirus stopped or affected your day-to-day activities?
I mean, from one aspect, it stopped the daily rigmarole. Like I said, picking the kids up, dropping them off, going to get gas, all that kind of stuff that what I mean was just a natural part of your day. But it is heightened as a creative. It is heightened things for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I know a lot of cats that I've talked to. It's like 50-50. A lot of cats that I've talked to that are creatives. They can't seem to get out of the mud. It's like they can't get the creative juices flowing because they're used to the day-to-day activity being a stimulus, if you will. But there's a lot of cats like me and like my man Ojiz. He calls himself a homebody anyway. So it was like, oh yeah, I'm in my habitat. And for me, I just never thought that being confined would get the juices flowing, if you will. So my pen just been moving by itself, man. So, like I said, where it's like overcompensating for the things that I, don't do on a daily basis, at least for the last 2 months.
You were speaking on your pen. How has this virus or this quarantine affected the way you write, your subject matter?
A little. I mean, it has to. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, most MCs or most dope MCs I know are essentially journalists. You know what I'm saying? So you write about the things that are going on around you. You write about the things that affect you. You write about personal experiences. So it was it definitely changed the direction in which I was going. But I think in a great way because now I get to talk about the personal things that have happened to me because of the virus, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So I get a chance to share my story, if you will. And I know everybody, that are creatives are, one way or another, everything that I've heard after the COVID-19 situation has happened, they have mentioned it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So you can't help but to. It has altered everyone's life on the planet. And I don't think any of us have lived in a lifetime where that altered everybody on the
Right.
planet. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What have you learned about yourself since you've been quarantined?
Um, I have learned. I'm probably more patient, tranquil than I was. It has heightened certain things that I always thought. You know what I mean? And it also has. I've learned that I can be a homebody as well. Like I'm a socialite. You know what I'm saying? I like to get out. I like to move and groove. I like to, you know what I'm saying, go to a party from time to time, or at least not as much since I've been married, but yet and still, I try to, I got to get out. I like people. You know what I'm saying? I like to see the people.
Right.
Well, the quarantine has taught me I could stay in here for another year. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I don't mind it at all as long as I got food in the crib, and as long as what I'm saying, I'm still being creative, and and I don't have the worries of that some of the people out here have to worry about. As long as I don't have those kind of worries on my plate, thank God, I'm good, man. People ain't got to see me for a minute.
Are you preparing, or is there anything you're doing currently to prepare just in case there's a second wave down the road?
Just continue to doing the same things we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Just being, not being naive, not being stupid, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Making sure, we got the proper mask and gloves and not out there, you know what I'm saying? Just doing things haphazardly. You know what I mean? Get in, get out. If you do gotta go get something, you know what I mean? Not hanging around. Just do what you gotta do and come on back to the crib and spend time with your family. You know what I'm saying? That's the most
Right.
important thing.
Cool. Let's get into a little Tracey Lee history and work our
Yeah.
way up. Because, like I said, you got many accolades that need to be acknowledged. And
Mm,
can you
thank you.
take us back to where you were born and raised?
I was born in Buffalo, New York, and I was raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I've lived in a few spots in between. I've lived in New Orleans, I've lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I've lived in Wilmington, Delaware, I've lived in Albany, New York. But I was born in Buffalo and was there till I was about 5 years old. Mom started moving around, and then by the time I became during the puberty years, if you will, around 11, made my way up to Philly, and was from those prominent years, um, 11, 12 to 18 until like 17. Really, I graduated from high school at 17, and then wound up going to Howard. You know what I mean, in the fall of '88. So. That's where Philly is where I learned the tricks of the trade. Philly is where what I'm saying, that was that phase in my life. I didn't become an adult, but I became a young adult. You know what I'm saying? And started to understand the culture and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
What was a typical day in the life of Tracey Lee growing up?
Oh man, I went to a boarding school, so um, Girard College. Shout out to GC. It was different than most cats, like especially in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Because we were the kids behind the wall, so a lot of us were perceived in a different way. And the thing about Girard is like this is in the middle of North Philly, so outside of those walls, we always thought the walls was to keep us from going out. Well, really, you know what I'm saying? The walls was to keep people coming in, you know what I mean? So, we had to rumble. Every time we stepped outside that wall, we had to rumble. Um, because we were the smart kids, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Had the uniforms on, but little did they know that school was a school for originally for poor orphan white boys. You know what I'm saying? And then during the civil rights movement, 1968, that's when everything changed. They started letting, you know, the black youth in, particularly black boys. And then they eventually let girls in like in 1984. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, it was different, man. But it saved my life. You know what I'm saying? Because like I was saying, the school was for single parent households. You know what I'm saying? Single mothers, if you will. So, um, at that time, man, I was turning the corner. Like I said, about sixth grade, and it became a little bit difficult for my mom to handle me, you know what I'm saying, if you will, trying to raise a young black kid, a black boy back then. So I was strained, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden she finds Girard College, and as like I said, essentially it saved my life, man. You know what I mean? No telling what direction I would have went down if that had not happened. You know what I'm saying? It gave me structure. It gave me brothers for life. It gave me a great education. You know what I'm saying? It paid for, a portion of not only undergrad, but also a portion of uh, my law school, which is later on down the line. That's one of the benefits of going to Girard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it was about, man.
What were some of your musical influences early on?
Oh, do we have time? Like, we can spend the whole conversation talking about that, man. I mean, I grew up on a lot of things, man. I grew up on gospel. I grew up on hip hop, of course. I grew up on R&B. I mean, first people to come to mind: Stevie Wonder, Jackson 5, Donny Hathaway. You know what I'm saying? And this is before Earth, Wind and Fire, Shaka Khan. You know what I'm saying? I listen to all these records. You know what I mean? Edwin and Walter Hawkins, the Clark sisters. Um, like I said, this is me as a young buck. Um, James Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? And then, uh, lo and behold, 1979 comes around, you know what I'm saying? And this is when I get my first whiff of, from a commercial radio perspective, my first whiff of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop music, that is. Little did I know that I'd always been hip hop. It's just that now we have a language that we're speaking with regards to the LP, or the from a phonographic perspective. You know what I'm saying? So now I hear this hip hop, the hibbit, and I heard an interview that you recently did with Kim. You know what I'm saying? And he spoke about the same thing. Um, Shout out to UMCs. And so yeah, that for a lot of us, for most of us, unless you grew up in New York City, you know what I'm saying, in particular the Bronx and Brooklyn and all that, like, you weren't privy to, the precursor. You were privy to Rapper's Delight. And so that is when the light switch clicked. You know what I'm saying? And so from there, it was, oh, this is crazy. I need that. Then it went to me wanting to rhyme, but not based off of that song. It was based off of Melly Mel when I started to hear vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? So now when I hear the message, this is not the hip, the hop, the hibbit to the hibbit. You know what I'm saying? This is a child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. I'm like, oh, what is that? You know what I'm saying? And so that is what prompted me. Okay, now I got to get into it. And then I heard It's Yours by Tila Rock, you know what I'm saying? Commentating, illustrating, description, giving, words. I'm a fan of words. And then I'm hearing LL, you know what I'm saying? The mythological, you know what I mean? Like, using all of these words. And I'm like, all right, now this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's how, these are the influence. And then, of course, later on, you got Chuck D and Rakim, and that second wave, Chris, and I mean, that second wave starting from 1986 that comes in and just really shifted the game. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
these are the musical influences that I've had throughout my years. You know what I'm saying?
At what point did you start to pick up the pen and the pad?
Immediately, but again, it was more mimicking than my own style. Like, I heard the hip, the hop, the hibbit, so I'm gonna write something that sounds similar to that. And then I heard the message, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to write something similar to that, but I know I can't. But nevertheless, I'm 12 years old. Let's make an attempt. But then I heard It's Yours, and so when I heard It's Yours, that's when I started to say, okay, I want to take this thing seriously. Now I'm still sounding like other people, him, and particularly LL, I still am. LL is still the GOAT to me. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I'm hearing these guys, and now even though I'm sounding a little like them, this is the beginning stages of me turning into what I would eventually become. You know what I'm saying? These were the guidelines that I had. Okay, and it wasn't just the pen and the pad, but it was also the persona. It was the superhero like, especially with LL, with the superhero like figure. You know what I'm saying? He had a certain way he dressed, style. You know what I'm saying? Like the way he just attacked certain things. When he step in the room, you know he's there. If you saw, you know what I'm saying, Crush Groove and he said box, he immediately caught your attention. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So these are the points where I'm starting to, even like I said, these are the people that I'm hearing and I'm loving. And shout out to Run DMC as well. But like I said, it was particularly LL. It was Tila Rock and LL and Melly Mel. I would say those three. And again, shout out to Kumo D, shout out to Grandmaster Caz, because these are all the people that paved the way and were the forefathers of, you know what I'm saying, the MC, if you will. But in particular for me, it was Tila Rock and especially LL that made me go in that direction of, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this for real.
Can you take us back to some of the dues you paid before the record deal to get noticed?
Oh man. Ooh, it's a long. Okay, so I'm in high school. Like I said, I'm writing and all that. So then after that, I'm sending demos. By the time I'm sending demos out, and I saw somebody say you must be 48. Nah, well, I'm 49. I'll be 50 this year. You know what I'm saying? I was born in '70, but I started shipping out demo tapes. You know what I'm saying? 15, 16 years old. Send them to Def Jam, Next Plateau, all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time I'm a senior in high school, I'm like, all right, because I have another affinity too. I have an affinity for sports. So I played, basketball, baseball, had a D2 scholarship, you know what I'm saying, that I turned down for basketball because I wanted to go to, I wanted to, if it wasn't a D1, then I was going to an HBCU, and that's where I wound up going. Um, I went to Howard University in the fall of '88, but I told myself when I was a senior in high school, if I don't get a deal by the time I go to Howard, then I'm not gonna rhyme. I'm not gonna rap no more. I'm not gonna spit anymore. You know what I'm saying? So never got the deal. Went to Howard, and then I stayed down, and I went there to become a sports broadcaster. Again, I told you I got the affinity for sport. So then I'm there for a semester, and again, I'm not doing this anymore. But lo and behold, God had another plan. So I go past Blackburn. Blackburn is right in the middle of the campus. It's where everybody hangs out. And I see two cats rhyming. And it's my man D. Angeletti, Derek D. Angeletti. You know, saying the mad rapper for some of you that don't know who that is, and one of the hitmen, one of the great hitmen producers, and then this other cat named China Black, and they are spitting by Blackburn, and I'm hearing these bars, and it's crazy, and it sounds right, and I'm like, oh boy, it's reeling me back in. So, I went up to them, I introduced myself, you know what I'm saying, and then from there, I never stopped, and we're talking about the spring of '89. So then from there, I started to pick up steam. I ran into my brothers, One Step Beyond, who also went to Howard, and we formed a not necessarily a group, but a crew. You know what I'm saying? It was Power Move, and then it transformed into RNF once we started to bring my brothers the Reaps in from the Bronx. And, from that point, you know, people started to recognize us. It was, we almost had a deal with Eric Sherman. We almost had a matter of fact, it was a situation with, it really came down